Professor Nam Yong Lee's long commentary, Kim Moon-Soo, the last political leader who must not disappear. Human civilization has evolved from an era of object-centered politics to an era of relationship-centered politics. In the past, politics revolved around rulers as dominant objects, and the people were merely subjects of governance. However, modern political civilization is built upon transparency, trust, and mutual interaction within relationships. The American political scientist Robert Putnam once asserted that social capital is the foundation of national prosperity. The essence of this social capital is, in fact, the quality of relationships. Kim Moon-Soo is the rare statesman who not only understood but embodied this philosophy of relational politics. He saw himself not as a ruler, but as a bridge connecting the people and the nation, a living conduit of trust and public service. His political philosophy is rooted in one clear principle: honest citizens are the masters, and politicians are merely their servants. It is a living model of humanity's civilizational shift from ontological politics to relational politics. Kim Moon-Soo's leadership is founded upon three pillars: morality, efficiency, and integrity. Morality represents the conscience of politics, efficiency ensures rational governance, and integrity sustains transparent relationships. Throughout his career, Kim chose conscience over power and justice over profit. As governor of Gyeonggi province, he pioneered a structural innovation unprecedented in Korean administrative history. He re-architected every governmental function according to the logical framework of strategy, policy, service, performance. This approach mirrors the US Federal Enterprise Architecture (FEA) model, connecting four business areas: organization, service, performance, and information into a single integrated loop where policy, budget, and data circulate coherently. According to OECD Administrative Performance Indices, Gyeonggi Province under his leadership achieved a 132% improvement in efficiency compared to the national average, marking a historic transition toward governance where systems serve people. Kim Moon-Soo was not a mere administrator, he was an architect of national governance. Yet why do citizens fail to recognize such a great leader? The answer lies in the collapse of relationships. Today's Korea stands upon the ruins of disconnection. Politics, media, the judiciary, bureaucracy, and parties are entangled in networks corrupted by self-interest and distrust. The public, inundated with noise and manipulation, mistakes engineered images for reality. This is what I call the political pathology of disconnection, a sickness of the civic soul. Its symptoms are the erosion of trust, the evasion of responsibility, and the distortion of truth. Studies in political psychology reveal that societies with low trust suffer suicide rates 3 times higher and corruption levels 4 times greater than those with trust-based systems. Korea's political illness is not ideological, it is relational. Kim Moon-Soo's politics have been misunderstood precisely because he spoke the language of relationships in an age that no longer hears it. The essence of his political philosophy can be expressed in one sentence: politics is the art of making the relationship between the people and power transparent. He consistently emphasized 3 foundational relationships. First, the relationship between the people and government, where the people are sovereign and government is their servant. Second, the relationship between politics and morality, where power must stand upon conscience. Third, the relationship between freedom and order, where freedom exists within order and order exists to protect freedom. These 3 relationships form the triangular foundation of liberal democracy, and restoring them is the heart of Kim Moon-Soo's political vision. He is not merely a conservative politician, but a political philosopher of relational civilization. As governor, Kim Moon-Soo operationalized the structure of FEA in Korea. The 4-tiered framework, strategy, policy, service and execution, became a prototype of national enterprise architecture. He established what may be called a relational governance model, integrating interministerial collaboration, local government partnerships, and citizen participation. This model anticipated today's digital platform government, nearly 15 years ahead of its time. In global terms, his approach aligns with the US Performance Reference Model, PRM, the UK Government Digital Service, GDS, and Singapore's Smart Nation Initiative. Kim was not merely a policymaker, but a structural reformer, an architect of systemic integrity. The central insight of relational philosophy is this: the direction of relationships matters more than the magnitude of power. Kim Moon-Soo never sought to expand his political might. Instead, he sought to correct its direction, returning power from government back to the people. He devoted his life to restoring the natural flow of authority in a system where the servant had come to dominate the master. The further he moved from the center of power, the closer he came to the truth of politics. His solitude was not a mark of defeat, but a philosophical resistance against a broken age. At this juncture, we must recall the words of two moral elders of Korea. Jang Gi-pyo, director of the Institute for a New Civilization, once said, "Among all the political leaders I have seen since Korea's liberation, only two have embodied true compassion, selfless devotion, moral integrity, and genuine love for others, Kim Gun-tae and Kim Moon-Soo." This short reflection captures the moral DNA of Kim Moon-Soo's leadership, not the pursuit of power, but the compassion that restores human dignity. Likewise, Professor Kim Dong-gil of Yonsei University said, "Kim Moon-Soo lived not by words, but by deeds, not by power, but by conscience, not as a politician, but as a human being." Their tributes affirm that Kim Moon-Soo is not simply a political figure, but the last living flame of Korea's political conscience. Moreover, Kim Moon-Soo once refused approximately 3 billion won, about $30 million, in government compensation for his 3-year imprisonment during Korea's democratic movement. His response was clear: "Democracy is not for sale. My conviction and the people's suffering cannot be measured in money." This single act illuminates the moral altitude of his character. Integrity and honesty are the highest virtues of relational philosophy, and Kim Moon-Soo lived them, not preached them. Few leaders in modern politics have embodied such purity of conscience. Such a man deserves not to fade into memory, but to be called back by the people he served. Why Kim Moon-Soo, and why now? Because Korea today faces not a political crisis, but a relational one. The trust network among the people, the judiciary, the press, the political parties, and the administration has collapsed. According to the OECD Trust Barometer, public trust in the Korean government stands at 28%, nearly 20 points below the OECD average of 48%. This trust deficit is not merely statistical, it is structural, reflecting a deep relational decay. In such times, the nation needs not a new ideology, but a relational restorer. Kim Moon-Soo is that restorer. His values of honesty, fairness, and accountability are not moral slogans. They are the 3 pillars of sustainable relationships. Honesty breeds transparency, fairness builds trust, and accountability ensures continuity. Together, they form the invisible architecture of a resilient nation. History's greatest leaders have all been relational reformers. Lincoln restored the equality of human relations through the abolition of slavery. Gandhi dismantled an empire not with violence, but with the moral power of trust. De Gaulle rebuilt the relational fabric of post-war France. In this lineage stands Kim Moon-Soo, a philosopher-statesman advancing the politics of relational restoration. He is not a relic of the past, but a signpost of a new political civilization grounded in trust. If Kim Moon-Soo disappears from Korean politics, it will mean the nation has lost its final conscience. When citizens fail to recognize genuine leaders, falsehood inevitably replaces truth. That is the death of democracy. The only path forward is for honest citizens to regain the sense of relationship, to distinguish between those who manipulate and those who serve. This is where a new relational civilization begins. Kim Moon-Soo is not merely a politician, he is the embodiment of relational philosophy. He alone holds the moral architecture to guide Korea from the dictatorship of objects to the democracy of relationships. If he fades, we return to being objects of power. If we remember him, we become subjects of conscience. When honest citizens recognize Kim Moon-Soo, Korea will rise again. Thank you for watching Professor Nam Yong Lee's long commentary.